Hello. Are you able to hear me? Yeah, good morning, everyone. Hello. Hello. Yeah, good morning, everyone. Yeah, very good morning. Shall we start the session? Hello. Shall we begin the session? Okay. Today's topic is a solution explorer. Are you able to hear me? So when we say about the Solution Explorer, that is used with the Visual Studio, that is used with the OK button, that creates a console application perfect for you, and this will also display the content of the project in the Solution Explorer that makes a console application in the new project. This is a Solution Explorer, Word Wiki, properties, assembly, info.cs, references, system.data, system.xml. We should wait because this is 4:02 right now, according to IST. That means 2 minutes are also already over. Okay, we should wait for 5 minutes more. Okay. So when we say about the Solution Explorer, that is used to make the Visual Studio Console application project. So when we say the console application, so that project may be used in the Solution Explorer window. And this console application project Word Wiki will be shown in Solution Explorer. So it's the Word Wiki properties assembly info.cs. And by default, a newly created console application that references the assembly system, system.data, system.xml. So we also need to add a reference to the Word 2003 PIA. So we do this by the right-clicking the references folder and then choose add reference. So we use the add reference criteria from the we can say the pop-up menu that appears. So this shows that there is an add reference dialog, and when we click on the COM object, COM tab, choose the most or the choose Microsoft Word 11.0 object library to add a reference to the Word 2003 PIA. Then click on the OK button. So when we make the references to this, when we make the PIA for this object library for this, so this will add the references and then click on the OK button. This Visual Studio also adds the references to the Word PIA and also adds the additional reference to the standalone VBIDE and Microsoft Office Core. .pia that is shown. So these additional PIAs are the one that the Word PIA has to take or has to depend on. And standalone is a PIA that contains the definition of some of these types that COM object model needed. So whatever the object model needed, whatever the PIA that is needed. So this VBDIA is the object model associated with the VBA editor that is integrated into the office.application.core. That is office.dll is the PIA for common functionality that is shared by all the application, all the Office application that is shared with these. So there is the object model for the toolbar, menus for the toolbar, and also note that the proper references have been given to the console application. We can say that the console application is a part of the object library, but not sure. Not sure in the sense not always. So double click on the Solution Explorer, double click on the program.cs in the Solution Explorer window to edit the main source code profile for the console application. And if you are outlining the turned on, so we will see the text using at the top of the program.cs file with a plus sign next to it. No, this is not a plus with a plus sign. We can say there is a plus sign that is available. We need to add them with this. Click on the plus sign to expand out the code where the using directives are also placed. Add the following 3 directives that you can easily manage. You can easily use the objects from the Word PIA. That may be a Microsoft.office.core PIA as well as the classes and the system.input-output.namespace. So whatever the namespace, whatever the output that is available, that is used with the PIA, that is used with the directives, that makes no way, that makes very easily information for these objects that is contained in the Word PIA. So whenever we use Microsoft.office.core, that is used in the system.input-output. Using Office, Microsoft.office.core. Using Word, Microsoft.office.intro.word. Using system.input-output, that is also a part of the Microsoft.office.core. So we allow some of these namespaces, so we do not have to type out the entire namespace. such as the Microsoft.office.intro. Every time we have to declare with the object. So with the alias in place, we can just type word to specify the namespace. So whatever the namespace we are using, that will be added up, that will be used with the namespace. And we keep our alias namespace in place for word and office instead of just typing using Microsoft.office.intro. So instead of typing this one, we use multiple spaces into the global scope. This is because Word and Office defines hundreds of types, and we do not want all these types potentially with these codes with these reference types. And also for this code, also for this reference, we use such code that makes arrangement that makes the namespace application use with this that is coming off. Though whatever the application that is coming off, this application will be used. This criteria will be used, this application type will be used, how we can go further with these applications, with these references that will be given, that will be used, that will be names, or that will be given as a namespace in the application window. So application, so in the application, so there is an application window, that namespace will be used, that we can say the name categories will be used. So we would like to know about the namespace that application type is also coming from. So we are now ready to write some code that automates the word to create a table after reading a text input file. So whenever we create text input file, so this list out or shows the entire listing of our program. So rather than explain every line of code in that listing, we focus on the lines of the code that automates the word. So whatever the line of code, whatever the automation tool that we are using, that automates the code, that automates the line of the listing that we focus on. So we assume the reader has some knowledge of how to read a text file in document. And pass a string via split method. So whatever the split method we are using, whatever the method we are dealing up, so we use the split method to pass a string. So we briefly touch on some objects in the word object model that makes up subject 6 through 8 programming word with the events, word with the word directly, word with the word object. So we do those for making an application. So the word application, the application new word of application. Whatsoever the window we are using, that compiler will know how to use or how to deal with this application that makes the executable code, that makes a new instance of this application, new object that starts up with showing or without showing any windows. And you can also automate word in this visible state. So when you want to automate this word, so you will be confusing the user by bringing out or by making these windows visible with the word window. For this example, we want to make word show its main window, and we do so by adding this line of code. The application.visible equals to true. So whenever we use these codes, whenever we take this code, so that will be used for this example, that is a word show its main window. And we do so by adding this line of code. This is application.visible equals to true. Next, we want to create a new empty Word document into which we will generate our table. We do this by calling the add method on the document collection written by the Word application object. So this add method takes 4 parameters that we want to omit. One is optional parameter in the Word method that is specified by passing a reference, that is a special, by passing a, we can say the special value reference, that is a type.missing. So we declare a variable known as missing that we set to type.missing and pass it by the reference to the each parameter we are using. Whatever the parameters, whatever the data we are using, that will be used to omit these parameters that is shown. Now this is object missing, type.missing, word.document, the application.document.add, reference missing, and the reference missing. Just read out. Okay, all right. So any doubts anyone till now? Let's move to the next part. Next part is void dot range that is given with a range, the document dot range that is given with the reference missing. So we then use our range object to add a table by calling the add method. So whatever the add method we are calling out, whatever the we can say the tools technique we are using up, so that add method of the table will be returned by the range object. So we pass the range object again as a first parameter to this table to the add method. So whatever the add method we are using up, whatever the follow we are using, so that add method will be used to specify that we want to replace the entire content of the document with the table. And we also specify the number of columns and the rows that we want. So if we want the 4 columns, then we specify 4 columns as a column count. If we specify rows, number of rows total as a 4, the row count will be 4. This will be given with the, no, this is not given in an Excel. This is given with one of the command that is used. That is the command is word.table, then the variable is a table, range.tables.add. So these tables will be using as a add. Then range, what is the range about this? Row count, what is the number of rows? Column count, what is the number of columns? Then reference missing and the reference missing. So there are 4 parameters, 5 parameters that is used with the range.tables.add. And the table object has a cell method that takes a row and a column and returns a cell object. So whatever the cell object that we are taking out, so that is used as a or has a range property that returns a range object for the cell. In question that we are going to set out the text and formatting of the cell. So whatever the code we are using out that sets out the cells of the table that is shown over here. I note that in most of the office object models, it starts with the 1 as a minimum value rather than the 0, because this is not a programming part. In programming it starts with a 0 in array, but in this case it starts with the 1 as a minimum rather than the 0 base, and starts with a 0 as a minimum level. For column index equals to 1, column index is less than equals to column count, column index plus plus, then word dot cell, table dot cell, row index, column index. Again, there are 2 parts, row index and the column index. That is the starting of the column. It starts with a 0, it starts with a 1. Then cell dot range dot text. So whatever the text we are giving up, that is contained in the split row. So that split row method will be used for the column index. Now, when this code will be used for the formatting of the table by settling the time, by setting the table to the size to fit content and bolding the header row that is shown below. So whatever the row we are using of, whatever the data we are using of, that row object, that table object will be returned by using table.rows1, which has a range property that returns a range object for the row in the question. And we also encounter the code that sets the first row of the table to be bold. Whatever the table we are using out, that is bolding out, that bold out. So this is table.rows1 range.bold equals to 0. That means we are going to write the code with this one, because as we know it starts with a 1, not the 0. So but the word object model is to be expects an int value, that is 0 for false and the 1 for true, rather than a bool value, that is a true or the false. Yes. This is a looping that starts or that uses with the for loop. So it starts with the 1 with the column index, that is 1. Column index is less than column count. So whatever the column index that is used, so that is less than equals to column count, whatever the column count value, that may be 1, 2, 3, and any column count value. And column index plus plus, it is incremented by 1, 1, 1. So one dot cell, table dot cell. So whatever the table we are using up, whatever the data we are using up, that is used, that is contained in the table dot cell. That may be a row index, that may be a column index. And this cell dot range dot text is also used with the split row column index. So this is the code to set the formatting of the table by setting the table to the size to fit the content. Whatever the content we are using up, that is fit into the one part. And we use the row object returned by the table.rows1, which also has a range property that returns a range object. So whatever the range object we are using up, whatever the questions we are using up, that use with the range property, that use with the range object. Also we encounter the code that sets the first row of the table to be bolded. And one could expect to be able to write the code table.rows.bold. It just starts with that looping only. Yeah, it's just a wait. So this is a for loop that starts with the column and text as the one value initialization. Then there is a condition that may be increment, decrement, less than, greater than. Then this is the updation that may be an increment of decrement. So for column index 1, column index is less than equals to column count, column index plus plus. So this is word dot cell, table dot cell, row index column index. Then cell dot range dot text, split row column index. So whatever the column index value, whatever the ranges we have, so that will be used as a cell dot range dot text. That's the split row column index. So this split row column index will be used as a cell dot range dot text. And this is the code to set the formatting of the table by setting the table to the size to fit the content by using the table dot rows dot one. Format table, table dot rows 1, range dot all equals to 1, table dot autofit behavior, it automatically fits the behavior, WD autofit content, WD autofit behavior. Then finally some code will be reached at the end of the forces or at the end of the word, so that forces the word to quit the values, to quit the content without saving the changes. So this is object save change equals to 4. Now we're giving as a object change is not saved, so this is the object change false. Then object save change is false. The application dot quit. So this again it is used with the application, that is a formal application with the reference changes, save changes, reference missing, reference missing. And if you do not write this code, the word will stay running even after the console application exits. So even application exits, even that word will be exit. So but when you show the word window by setting the application object visible property to the true, that means this application object will be set out to the true. And this will put out the lifetime of the application in the hands of the end users rather than the automatic program. So whenever we are using the automation, executable exit, so what continues running. And to force the word to exit, you must call the quit method on the word's application object. And with this method, if this program did not make the word window visible, that is, for example, it created a document with a table and makes that table and make that we can say the save in the file without word window. So it would not have to call the quit because the word would not exist when the program exited and released all its reference to the word objects. And to console it, to make it very clear, create a one file, make a text document with that console application, sets up the debugger to do this by right-clicking on the word wiki object project in the Solution Explorer and choose the property. After choosing this, you have to click on the debug tab and then set the command line arguments field to the name of your text file. This is the complete WordWiki implementation using system.collection.generate, using system.text, using system.input-output offers. This is used as a Microsoft.office.core, Microsoft.office.inter.word. The namespace WordWiki class program, static void main, string args, word.application, the application, new word.application function, the application.visible equals to true. So whatever the word visible part, whatever the true part, that is used as a true. And object missing is system.type.missing. Application window will be used with the system.type.missing as the application object, the add method, and the reference message, and the reference. Text reader, new system.input-output.string reader, args0, string separators, new string 1, separator 0, bytes, row count 0, column count 0. So this is initialization we can see. We are going to start with the row count as a 0, column count as a 0 because we are going to start with the scratch, with the basic, with the null value, we can say the 0 value. Just read out the rows and the columns and also calculate the number of columns and the rows. The system.collection.generate. So this generic method will be used, that list will be used with the string object, that is the row list. that contains the new system.collection generic.list. So this new system will be used as a collection, as a generic method, as a list with a string objects. The string row reader.readLine. While row is not equals to null, row count less plus. Row list.add row. This is the first row, we can add this row. If this is the second row, we can calculate the number of rows and the number of columns. So if row count equals to 1, so string split header row dot split separator string split applic options dot none string criteria. So this ignores the first and the last separators. The row equals to reader dot read line. This will be used to create a table word dot range dot document dot range reference missing reference missing. So this word dot table has a range of tables dot add range count, row count, reference missing, and the reference missing. So these are the parts that will be used to create a table. Next is populating the table, which I am going to discuss in the next class. So let's focus on this one. So while row is not equals to null, row count plus plus row list dot add row. So calculate the number of columns, calculate the rows, calculate the row count, calculate the values, calculate the header row, calculate the split row. So everything is paired with this. So next is creating a rows. So word dot range there is a range. The document dot range reference missing, reference missing. So word dot table, range dot tables dot add range, row count, column count, reference missing, reference missing. Then populate means inserting. So column index equals to 1, row index equals to 1. Column index equals to 1, row index equals to 1. That will be used, that will be populating the tables, populating the values. And for each string R in row list, this will be used as a string split row, R dot split separator, string split options dot none. So whatever the separator we are using up, whatever the follow-up we are using up, that will be used with the row dot split. And for column index equals to 1, column index less than equals to column count, column index plus plus, that will be used as a column index 1, column count, column index plus plus. This will be used as a cell, so word dot cell, table dot cell, row index, column index. In the same way, cell dot range dot text, split row, column index. So the split row, column index, row index will be used with the table dot cell, row index, and the column index. Was when we add this one, so this will be adding up with the 1 row index plus plus. This table dot rows dot 1 range dot bold 1 table dot autofit behavior word dot autofit content. So wait for the input from the command line for Excel. System.console.writeLine table complete. System.console.readLine. So this is a quit without any saving changes. So object save change equals to false. The application quit, reference save changes, reference missing, reference missing. So the office add-in that is used for the office development for the add-in patterns. So this is used with the reference missing count, that is true as a bold, that is true as a false. Yes, this for each loop will be also used as a for. But the main difference is that the content is different, string is different, row index is different, column index is different, and the reference missing table count is also different over here. So range.tables.add range, row count, column count, reference missing, and the reference